Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. Welcome back. I'm Tammy White. I'm the founder and CEO of the Bobby White Foundation. We do have a special guest again today, Leroy. Um, yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, we took a little time off because I was feeling under the weather. We've got this bug going around here, but I'm very grateful to be back here in the space with you because our conversations matter. They do. So let's go through our stuff that we do every. No, let's go through. Well, we do have that. No, our sponsors first. Area 52 Media Group. Thank you, John Gaston, my producer. We're here because of them, and Delynn Gaston from the mortgage firm. Everything mortgages. Things are crazy out there. I see so many places for sale around here. It's kind of nuts. Um, Everything mortgages. She's your gal. And Tammy White Galleries and Custom Framing. Yeah. So we've got a lot going on with get out of the way. Getting ready for Art for Hope. So um yeah, a lot happening. So our next support groups that are local here in Pasco County and Hernando County. Our next one in Spring Hill is April 8th at the NAMI Hernando office at 6:30, and the Newport Richie one is April 16th. Um, the April 8th one, Kathy will be facilitating it on her own because I'm taking that day and week off. That is the day. But these groups are really good. Oh, the one in Newport Richie's at the Oasis Coffee Spot at 6:30 also. So these support groups are really important. It's support groups aren't for everybody, but they are really important because it's a safe place for people to come. What happens in our support groups stay in our support groups. They My cat was messing with my computer. So anyway, they're they're a safe place, and people, you're with people who are on the same journey as all that we are, and you know I've said before many times, and from the very beginning, we heal in community. We don't heal in isolation. So we heal together. Um, that's that's the best way we can do it. You know, um, we can't do this on our own in a healthy manner. At least that's what I believe. Um, I'm not so sure that I would have gone to a support group right after losing Bobby to suicide, but particularly in our groups in Spring Hill, I am so proud of these people because they have come together and they're helping each other. Um, they know it's a safe place, and you can see their growth. And these people are 2 years and less out from losing their loved one to suicide. But it is amazing. So um, we heal together. That's just that's the best way to do it. So, anyways, when I got sick, unfortunately, I was down in. I think I got it when I was in Tampa. I'd gone to a dinner at this business club that I'm a member of, and that weekend was St. Patrick's Day. So St. Patrick's Day was my father-in-law's birthday, and he's been gone many years. Um, but and I usually post that I have this very old picture of Bobby and my father-in-law, and it looked really crappy. So I put it into Chat GPT, and this is what it came up with, and I just think it is so cool. And it's funny because when I looked at it, in the original picture, Bobby was holding a beer. And when ChatGPT did this one, I was talking to my producer about it out earlier today. They left the beer in his hand. And I kind of thought that was kind of cool because if you knew my husband, that was him. And like John said, they can have beer in heaven. So anyway, I just think that turned out so neat. That was just the first one that I had done like that. I didn't ask for any different requests. I think it did a really pretty good. So these AIs can be used for good if the good people use them. So, but I still try and do, and this is part of our healing journey too, and I'll mention it later when we go into what we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Is to keep I keep some of the rituals that we had done together. So I did make corned beef and cabbage. Here's my pretty little dinner plate. It turned out really good too. Even though sometimes it is bittersweet, but keeping some of these rituals that we did, and the same for you guys. It's helpful. I mean, it's a hard journey, and it's always going to be this way. But if you can keep some of your rituals and start new ones, which you will, but you can still keep some of the old ones. I think it's a really good thing. So, and I do that. I do that for I've pretty much I think I've done it every year for Thanksgiving, for St. Patrick's Day, and I do it for Thanksgiving. Christmas is a little bit different, but Thanksgiving I would do the same thing that we would do Thanksgiving morning. So it's helpful, and you know that your loved one is close. They're with you all the time anyways. So they're going to be with you, during these times. So anyways, so we've been walking through the book, When Your Soulmate Dies, by Dr. Alan Wolfelt. And we're into part, what is he calls them, the 6 needs of grief, mourning. So we're going to be talking about, and this is hard, especially with any traumatic death. Acknowledging the reality of your soulmate's death, and that's something that can be hard, really hard, especially when it comes to suicide. And you didn't see it coming. But then too, even if you did, it's still, it's the reality of it setting in. Oh yeah, he calls it heroic mourning. So you go through all these emotions, especially in the beginning, numbness, shock, not believing. I remember when I lost my first husband. It wasn't to suicide, but it was another tragic death. I've spoken about it before. Took him to work one day and never saw him again. He was hit by a truck surveying on US 27. But I remember, and I mean, we're going to be coming up on next year, 40 years ago. But I remember I would sit in my shop. I had another custom frame shop. It was my first custom framing business. And I remember I would sit there on one of the tables and it was so surreal. I would think he'd be just walking back up the street, walking back home from work. getting dropped off, and you come to the realization that that's not happening, but it is so, so surreal. Because especially in cases like this, not so much with my first husband. We were together for 6 years, but Bobby and I were together for nearly 30 years. So I spent the majority of my life with him every single day and night. And when that sudden break, sudden disappearance, it's just hard to imagine. But even people who watched their soulmate dying and slowly dying every day. I have a dear friend, and she's a caretaker for her husband now, and it is just so hard on her. And they have been together for many years, and just the toll that it is taking on her is physically visible. It's a very, very difficult thing to go through, um, whether it's a sudden death or it's a grueling, excruciating, long drawn out. And you're watching your loved one in pain, or in some cases, like with Alzheimer's or dementia, they're not even really there. They're physically there, but it's just yeah. And I know that coming to the reality of whatever your particular situation is, sometimes you might feel like you're going crazy. And I know I've felt that many times. Probably was closer to the truth than not, but maybe not. But it's what we go through, especially with deep grief. But you're not crazy. You're really not. Oh, and Dr. Wolfelt has a book that will tell you that too. You're not crazy. You're grieving. I think we've gone through that one too, but we will. So here's some ideas for trying to facing the reality of it, of your moment in time is now, this part of your journey. One thing is honesty. And this is where I think in our cases, in many suicide deaths, that this is difficult for, and it may not, be true in your case, but I've seen it with what I have gone through over the last nearly 10 years, is there's, how do I phrase it? There's less people that can be honest about their loved one's death if it's by suicide than not. I've seen it so many times, and that's part of the stigma that society still puts on us, and then we put that on ourselves also. I've said it before. Some parents, it's like, if you're a parent, your main job, besides others, is to keep your children safe. And in this case, it wasn't their fault, but it couldn't happen. In my case, in case of losing a spouse or a partner, it's like I lived with this guy for nearly 30 years. I was with him every day, pretty much, day and night. And I didn't know. Should I have known? You know, it's the woulda, shouldas, but it's, we can't, you know? But honesty is the best, because not being honest with yourself and with others, that just breeds sickness, both mentally and physically, because it will manifest in you, in your physical body. I've seen it personally, and it's awful. I mean, I feel that, you know, one of my in-laws, that the combination of this situation and other situations in her life, um, she doesn't, she won't talk about it. She won't share with us, and it's taken a toll on her physically. But being honest, and two, this is how we're going to help others. You know, that's why I am so vocal about this. It's the silence that is killing people, and we have to talk. I mean, they have the saying, talk saves lives. And, you know, I believe it's true, because the silence in my own family, that's why, you know, part of the reason why we're here. As I was talking earlier, rituals, you know, keep up some of the rituals that you had with your loved ones. You know, like we did St. Patrick's Day. We do it with Thanksgiving. 4th of July, I usually, what we would do, we'd be here at home, you know, just the two of us, because we were okay with that. But we would barbecue. And I still do that, even though the first time I did it, I broke my leg. But I still do it every year. So, and start new rituals. I'm trying to think if I have any new ones. I don't think so. I don't know. I'll think about that. But I do continue, you know, just a few of the things that we did. Um, yeah, think of new ones. I know a couple, you know, other people in our groups. They've started new rituals that they do. I do have. I take that back. So on April 8th, every year now, I have a garden, a memorial garden for Bobby. We have this ginormous oak tree, and it's around there. And every April 8th, I refresh it. A lot of times, my sister-in-law Mary, she comes with me, and you know, comes over, and we clean up and plant new flowers and put new mulch down, and make the garden all pretty again after winter time. You know, that's has been our yearly ritual for a while. And I know I'll be doing that again. And sometimes I'll go out to lunch. I think this year I'm going to go to our favorite restaurant, which I either go there on my birthday, which is our anniversary, or his birthday. Is that it was our favorite restaurant. It's one restaurant that we used to go to that I can go to and not totally lose my mind. So this year I think I'm going to go there and have lunch. And what I do when I do this on my own, I get, you know, my lunch, but I always order an extra Budweiser and have it sitting there. I'll usually take a sip out of it, but usually it goes undrank. But it's, you know, sitting there for him. So that's like probably my main newest ritual. But I do it, for my birthday, which is our anniversary too. So, do things like that. Like I said, they're gonna be with you. So rituals are important. Perseverance. This is one that it's like I don't want to. Why do I have to do this? But if you fully acknowledge the reality of your situation, of what your new journey is, with your head and your heart, it'll make your journey much easier. And if you don't, your journey is going to be longer and harder. But be patient with yourself. Be heroically patient with yourself. I'm starting to like that term that he's using on this part of the journey. Your heroic morning. You are a hero if you can persevere through this, and your journey will get a bit lighter. It's not going to go away, but it can get lighter so that we can, they want us to still have joy and live. And I know that's one of the hardest things to do. Because the rest of your life was supposed to be with that person. And it's not. And now you got to figure this out. Now you are on this journey alone. But really, you're not alone. There's a lot of us out there if we just open up and share and care and be kind to each other. So you need to rest, have self-care, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So the next one is his heroic morning need number 2, which sounds counterintuitive. Embrace the pain of the loss. How do you embrace pain? But you can't run from it because it's going to be there. But it naturally, it's just being human. You don't want to embrace pain. Sometimes you'll have dark emotions. You got to work through them. If you don't, they're always going to be there. And you'll go through all, different stages of probably anger, rage, guilt, regret. That's a big one. But if you don't work through these, they're always going to be there. And you're not going to have a good journey. All it's going to do is keep hurting you more and more inside. And it's hard, believe me, it is so hard. And, we share this, Kathy and I, with our group and when Teresa was here, it's hard work and it hurts. But really, it is so much worth it than sitting in that pain and continuing to have anger. I know a gentleman through the gallery, and at first I didn't know that he had lost his sister to suicide. I was totally upfront with him when I first met him because it was just a few months after Bobby had died. But a couple years later into our business relationship, when we were severing it, he made this comment to me that to me came out of the blue, and it was about his sister. And evidently his sister had taken her life, but he was so angry and bitter and just said some horrible things to me. But he's going to be living with that anger and bitterness. And I can't imagine having that in your body. I just can't. It's not going to work. So be vulnerable. Seek out people that you can trust. Like I said, even our support groups. You can trust those people. Be kind to yourself too. And make sure you have those people that can surround you and love on you, particularly in your hardest times. Because that's when you're going to need it. And again, the rituals. New rituals and old rituals. So I'm going to put up a picture, or John is going to put up a picture. This is the why. He's the why. And I encourage you, if you want, in the comments, put a picture of the loved one you lost, if you feel so compelled to share. Because I really wish I could turn back the time where my husband was healthy and alive. Remember to put these numbers in your phone, the 988 numbers. Have them memorized. Because even still, there's always hope.